This episode of Legendary is brought to you by Shutterstock for 25% off. Just use promo code GameBreaker1113.
GameBreaker TV.
I'm like on the fly 4chan with this fucking show. I need rainbows and cat lasers. What else do I need at my disposal? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary. What episode is this? 152 for a date I don't know. I'm Ron Burgundy, and coming up tonight, a new pet mount and a new model. Some more info on Garrisons, and is the in-game store actually coming to Western servers? All that more first. Busy. She's writing more articles for WoW Insider.
Busy. No, I just thought, wait a second, I didn't put any of the stuff of the new mountain pet in. I should totally put that in.
Nah, don't worry about that stuff. It's been a busy day for the Blizzard.
It's been a busy day. It's
busy,
been insane.
sure.
It's like,
yeah.
wait, it's Thursday, Legendaries tonight. You know what we should do? Release everything.
Release the hounds. Release everything.
Save something for tomorrow. Oh my God, chill.
There will be nothing tomorrow. You know why? They
Nope.
should have done it tomorrow. Actually, they should have done it over the weekend. Maybe a certain beta.
What's that?
A certain
Oh
beta.
yeah.
Oh
A certain
yeah.
beta. There
Come
may
on,
be a certain
Blizz.
beta.
Blizz, you're slacking, man. You could have dropped the F-bomb on the beta. Convert to rain.
Yeah.
Make it rain. Pat Crane.
I can't make it rain, but I can convert to rain. That's true. And right here on Gamebreaker now too. That's the important part.
Yes. Can we get a clap?
Mm-hmm.
Convert to raid is now part of the Gamebreaker family. They've gone video.
I like
if you
it.
haven't seen it, if you guys have been a fan of
Yeah.
Convert to Raid, whether you've gone full-blown video, I must say it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Check it out.
Exactly.
Check
And
it
I've got even more video coming on Sunday morning. So look out.
It is.
Yeah.
I say I think Blizzard should make the Convert to Rain like thing in game, some sort of
What would it be? It must be some sort of shaman move or shaman. Sorry.
what if just
No,
rain
maybe
is
a monk move. Don't they have a
What if
bunch
it-
of crane
No,
things?
wait,
Monks?
what
Spinning
if-
crane kick?
What if you could cast it on your friend, it was fun, and it just rained asparagus? It was Convert to Rain. You just
And robes.
and robes.
I have to deal with this every week. Now I got to deal with it on this show too.
Deal with
What
this
the
on
hell?
two
What the hell,
shows now.
Gary?
Two
I'm
shows.
channeling my inner Coltrane. And GBTV's Mike Shafton. How are you, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Good.
Aw.
Oh, isn't that cute? It's got
Aw,
a hot
Shaftnet.
heart. Get a room, you guys.
What's up, chat room? Thanks for coming to the show. What are we talking about tonight? I don't even know. Let's see. All right, first up.
Who knows?
Yeah, this was the big news this morning. It was like, there's no news. Oh, hey, here's a new mount. Here's a new pet.
Yeah.
So the Fey Dragon and the Alterac Brew Pub.
Yep.
Just dropped. They're available separately or as a bundle. For the low price of $30 combined and 50% off proceeds go from Brew Pub. Make it Wish Foundation. What is it? Make a Wish Foundation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, only half the brew pup proceeds, which is like it's valued at $10. So it's not $15 that go to Make a Wish. It's just off the brew pup. So it's $5 per time around. Apparently, some people are confused about that. So yeah,
Mass
there
confusion.
you go. Interesting charitable facts.
I'm trying to get some video, but so basically, you can get the bundle for $30 combined, or 50%, and 50% of the proceeds go to the Make a Wish Foundation. What do you guys think of the mount, and the well? Let's talk about the mount.
Oh,
first.
the mount is amazing.
Everybody's
the
loving
mount
it.
is like a friend. The mount is insanely good. Like a friend of mine went and bought it. Like it actually crashed the Battle.net store and Battle.net because everyone was just like, I must own this immediately. And they were just like, oh God, okay, no, it's actually crashed the whole store. But a friend of mine managed to buy it, was showing it to me in game, and it's so pretty. It kind of looks, and Gary will like this, it kind of looks a little bit derpy, so it's kind of like a little sort of derpy dragon thing going on. And its eyes change color, and it's kind of derpy looking. It's really cute though.
That's why it makes it look kind of
and the color shifting is awesome.
The color shifting is what sold me on it, really. I mean, come on, that's cool. I don't care who you are. That's kind of a neat little thing that they don't have with every other mount, so it's
yeah, for
neat.
sure.
And you know, for only $5 more, you get the brew pup, and yeah, my bank account has already felt the need to buy that thing, so I got it.
You dropped the $30. You dropped the $30, and you get the good feels. You get the feels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you get some feels. I don't know about totally good feels because it's only $5. But
still, yeah, it's 5 of your 30.
Right. I was gonna buy the mount anyway, so another $5 for a chair. Sure, I'll do that. Let's get the bundle. Let's go ahead and do that. You know, that's not
Shaftney, you're being quiet. I assume you freaking hate this thing. You just want to stab the dopey dragon in the face.
Thanks for calling me out on that. I was gonna hopefully just let it pass. I really could not give two craps about this mount. Honestly, aesthetically, it doesn't do anything for me. And I've never been one to ever buy a cash shop mount or a cash shop pet. It's just not for me. I don't see. I get it. You're giving money to charity. That'd be the only reason I would invest in this.
That's just Shaftnet hates charity.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason that I got the pup. That's the only reason
hates
I got the
Make a Wish
Foundation. The only reason I would get the dog.
There's the title of the show.
Like, would I give them $25 for the mount, or would I spend an extra $5 and basically the whole $5 in effect goes to charity? Yeah, I'd do that. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I like the mount. Mike Shaftnet's wrong again. You know, it happens.
I have no reason to want to buy that mount. Zero reason.
Shaftnet hates handicapped children. That's really what it comes down to.
He does. He hates charitable behavior.
I'm doing everything I can to... I'm not going to say this, because this clip... If I say anything that's like derogatory here, it's going to get clipped and then put on the internet separately, so I'm just going to let it pass.
Let it slide. No, but I can understand. There's a lot of people out there who, the charity aside, obviously makes you feel good, but I think there's a lot of people out there just almost on principle that they don't buy purchasable mounts that cost extra money. So I can understand.
I have so many other mounts that I was so excited to get that I never fly around anymore. Why? Because in the end, you really only use one mount. Now,
but Shaftnet, this one changes colors.
That's
you know what also changes colors? Changing from one mount that has the same exact model
to another mount
that's just a different color.
That's why you get like an
change colors too.
That's why you get an add-on like GoGo mount or something like that, where you can switch out mounts by just hitting one button over and over again. You just switch out mounts, and then that way you can get some kind of fresh flavor for your mounts. So, Shaftnet, you're wrong again.
I use flight form. I don't even use my mount. I don't even use my flying mount. I use flight form. So why would I spend the money on this?
Oh, that's right. You're a druid. Never mind.
Oh God.
You are too.
You only play a druid. You only play a druid ever, and that is what's wrong with you, sir. No diversity.
That's what's wrong with you, Mike Shaftnet.
No diversity.
Druids are what's wrong with you.
Do you feel the love?
You get into the heart. Again, I'm in the heart. So
there's the screenshot.
Yay!
You can guarantee that is the image of the show right there. All right, so Shaftnet's not buying it. I understand. Hey,
that's fine.
Kid works for Gamebreaker. It doesn't
cool,
make
man.
that much money.
If you hate kids and charity, it's fine by us.
Right.
We throw him like 2 pieces of bread and a slice of bologna to work here. Kids got to eat. He's got to make some money. Can't be spending it on
can't be throwing money willy nilly like that.
Can't be buying virtual pixels and getting all excited about this shit. What's wrong with you, Pet Crane? All right. There's so much more to cover. There's so much in this video today. So the other really big news that kind of just went insane today on the site, it was definitely the biggest thing I think out of the entire day, was the Forsaken Undead female reveal in the Blizzard video. I just call it the Morgan video, the Morgan Web video. I don't know what else they have like a name for this show. I just call it the Morgan Web show.
They're calling it WoW Source.
Just call it the Morgan Web show.
WoW Source.
And
not
Blizzard.
Source it's like A1 steak sauce. Source
it's
like
funny that you
where
call
it comes
it the Morgan Web show, because so many It's like a 50-50 split. Some people are like, oh, hey, cool, it's Morgan Webb. Other people are like, who is this girl? She doesn't know anything about World of Warcraft. Forget her. And it's like, it's hilarious to see how clued in World of Warcraft people were to World of Warcraft that they don't know who Morgan Webb is.
She's a huge
I don't know who Morgan Webb is. Who is Morgan Webb?
She was a personality on G4 here in the States, but I mean, talk about nerd cred. Like, she seriously is a legit World of Warcraft player forever.
Really?
Yes.
She doesn't come across like that at all.
Yes. Yeah. She's no joke. And I just called the Morgan Webb show. I don't know why they just don't call it what it is. I mean, that's why they hired her. That's what we're all gonna remember. I'm not going to remember that guy on the right there with the bald head.
I don't know who she is.
I know that guy on the right is definitely not Ian Hazakostas, and
that's
have no
Tom Chilton.
Idea. Yeah,
the guy on the left is Ian.
That's Ian Hazakostas next to the lady.
That's not Ian Hazakostas. You missed my joke.
It's Chris Robinson in the middle, who's the director of art.
Let me point out, not Ian Hazakostas.
Also not Ian Hazakostas.
Hazakostas. All right.
Ian.
Ian.
Wow, check you out saying Ian like someone who knows what his name is.
Who's that guy in the middle? Put some shoes on. Come on, what do you think? Is this California, you lazy bastard? You're at work.
Put some
damn shoes on. He's got flip-flops on.
When we went to that Blizzard, when we went to that Blizzard thing, it was so funny because in comes, like half the devs were like wearing sandals and shorts and just kind of raggy t-shirts or whatever, and just, well, not raggy, but they were wearing t-shirts and just kind of like very, very casual. Can I say
there's nothing more uncomfortable than seeing?
That's kind of cool.
But is it? I don't know. I find it very uncomfortable when those guys wear shorts and they're on stage. I don't know. There's something really uncomfortable. It's the knee. It's the knee. Sure. It's the uncomfortable knee that you projected on the bed. That's what it is.
With the uncomfortable knee.
Put some pants on.
Wow.
I have jeans on now because it's Minnesota and it's freaking cold. All right.
Come on. I'm looking at you, Warlord Chieftain, long hair, death metal voice. Put some pants on. And you, Chris Robinson, put some damn shoes on. Have some respect for yourself. You're at work, for God's sakes. You work at Blizzard.
Wow.
Look at it. Seriously? Come on, buddy. Look at it. What? Really?
The thing was that no criticism for Morgan Webb's lack of shoes, though, I note.
Those are shoes. Those are women's shoes.
Oh, it's okay for the lady to wear open sandals, but not for the boy.
This is true. Well, you have a problem?
Apparently you do.
I know, I'm cool with the sandals. It's like last time they had a table and it was way less awkward. I always think the table is better. Because they can put their feet under it and you don't have to worry about their shoes.
Hide the shoes in lack of pants.
They could just be like pantsless podcasting.
What are we talking about? The new models.
I don't know.
New
models. Let's go.
Oh yeah, Undead models.
Blew the F up. New Forsaken models. Definitely the first look we got to see. We saw the male version over the BlizzCons, but I was kind of bummed they didn't have it animated yet. But so we got no animation yet. No run or walk cycles, but I'm sure that'll come at some point. But this morning was the first time we've seen the female model. I don't know, get some good full body shots here and some T-squared, some headshots, things like that with some different haircuts and things like that. First up, there's some people who aren't completely thrilled about certain parts of the new model. Do these feel that drastically different to you guys? Because they remember their whole thing about, like, we got to keep the integrity. We got to keep it, like, it's got to be so close, but just the fidelity is brought up. I mean, did they not feel like like I saw them and I was like, wow, they think they nailed it.
Yeah, for sure. I think people were hoping unrealistically, given how many times Blizzard have said we want to keep them the same, that for some reason the undead models would have less of this whole exposed bones thing going on. Like a bunch of people on the forums were disappointed. I know.
Everyone would freak out if they would have done that.
Don't play a zombie if you don't want them to have all the rotting flesh and exposed bones, maybe.
So that's the big gripe, is that people actually wanted them to cover up the exposed bones.
I think people hoping still also that the armor will cover up the bones. So like your back armor will cover up the exposed spine. It's like if you're a robe wearer, you won't have the exposed spine. You won't have the open elbows on the armor. You won't have the open knees. And like, I'm kind of like,
I'm
well,
all
don't
for-
roll
I'm
an
for-
undead if
I'm
that's
for a-
your
I'm all-
thing.
I'm all for covering up the knees, by the way. Just saying.
You're all for
But I don't-
hating it on the knees.
But I really don't see them doing that, because that, even with the armor, like, I don't see them changing that. That's the whole point of why they said that, how much time they spent getting this, so it didn't change drastically and they felt familiar.
Right. And when we saw the other models at BlizzCon and stuff like that, it was the same type of thing. They brought up the fidelity. They made it more expressive. They made the characters a lot more expressive, actually, and I'm hoping that they do the same here. I mean, it's not necessarily about the base look of the model. It's about bringing it up to the standards that Mists of Pandaria brought about. Really, I mean, because that's we want it to look good. We want it to look pretty, as pretty as an undead person can.
You're not
be.
saying anything, so you must hate it.
Bring it heart again.
I'm not blown away by him, but I think that's fine because, like they're saying, I think that it's perfectly, like, it just hits that nature of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a model that looks really good. I think that this is the people who are complaining. This is a perfect case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's the same thing as Garrisons. If they would have made guild Garrisons, people would have bitched and said, I wanted player Garrisons. And since they made player Garrisons, people bitched and said, I want guild Garrisons. Pet. It's one.
We'll talk about this later, Mike.
It's one of those situations where if they
Mike, we're going to talk about this in about 45 minutes, and you're wrong. Go ahead.
It's one of those situations where if they would have taken the route and covered up the bones, people would have complained and said, "That's what I liked playing." That's the iconic part of the undead model, is the fact that their bones are showing. So as Olivia said, if you don't want bones to show, don't freaking play an undead. What the heck is the problem?
Play a human. Just play a living character.
Don't roll a zombie. Well, you know what I want to know? Just stay on this shot for a second. When did the undead lady get that bum? Where does this come from? Does she like rob this from a nearby corpse? Does she had butt implants? Like, what's going on here? There's rake thin, with the exception of suddenly butt. Where did that come from?
Do you think that they'll add? Do you think they're gonna add some jiggly physics?
Maybe there's some jiggly physics coming in.
You know what? It's time to reroll.
With the new fluid
fellas.
technology they're using for the cloaks.
There you go. It's time to reroll. What about the faces? The other thing, a lot of people are saying that they feel like the faces like seem a little bit prettier than the other ones.
Well, they have a lot more polygons to deal with, so they can actually do stuff with it. So why not change it up, just slightly? Maybe. I think the only other race that is, like traditional beauty for the Horde are the Blood Elves, and I'm still not sure if there is actually a male Blood Elf. By the way,
not sure.
They're all just so pretty. They're all just so pretty.
Yeah, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. So. Yeah, I know. I think like Pat says, the faces obviously are going to look better with a much higher polygon count. But there does seem to have been some slight prettification, but that is the pretty, like that, the face that they've used is recognizably one of, I think there's like 3 pretty undead faces or something, and that face is recognizably one of those 3. So I think it's fine. I don't think they're trying to pretty up the undead face. The undead arse.
Is it just me, or does the bottom left one look like Morgan Webb?
It's the Morgan Webb face.
She's in the game.
That's why she got to reveal it.
Maybe
because she's in the game. That's
it. I'm gonna roll the Morgan. What one thing we didn't. No, did you guys have to check them out, like the orcs and stuff? Like when we got to do the dungeon at BlizzCon, I immediately rolled an orc for that reason, to see it. And I gotta say, I wouldn't mention this. I don't even think the past.
No, we haven't even talked about this. Like, because there's so much to talk about.
I know we haven't talked about any of the models that we've seen. I gotta say, when I saw it, like for all you out there, like seeing the artwork and the screenshots, it doesn't even come close to what it looks, how cool it looks like in person on your screen. Like they're so expressive. Like it was almost that moment of like, even when I first saw Pandaria and you saw the panda and you were just like, holy shit, I can't believe they can do this with this engine and the way they're like shading it and stuff. It's the same thing when you see these in front of you on your screen and they're moving and stuff. It looks amazing. Yeah. Did you guys like them all?
Yeah,
we saw the male gnome, the orc, the dwarf. I rolled an orc when I was at BlizzCon.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a dwarf because I was doing shaman, so I did a dwarf and then an orc because I needed to do a different Shaman. I was trying to get like what I always do, like the panda screenshots, which I love, are always like the emotes like /boggle and /think and /gasp, and like none of those were in yet for any of the models, unfortunately. But the like just the sort of the quality of the expressiveness of the faces is just insane. Like honestly, I think these ones will make the Pandaren look a bit crappy because they're just like it's just that much later on. The technology is just that much smoother. I think they look insane. They look amazing. Like the male dwarf with the huge beard is just like running, and his beard's just everywhere. It's they're so good. They're so good.
It's really cool. And I did the /dance for all of them, for all of the new ones, and I was really surprised at how expressive the eyes were. That was one of the big surprises. And I was actually watching via the virtual ticket today. I was watching the art panel. And if you guys have seen that, that had some awesome stuff with the female gnome, just like still shots of some of the expressive qualities of her eyes and the whole face, and it's just really gorgeous. So
I think.
All right, Shafty, you're being quiet. You must hate him.
Yeah, Shafty hates everything this week.
Just because I'm not jumping on people's toes and interrupting everybody like I usually do. I'm letting people talk.
Wow.
Wow.
I know, right? So I didn't get a chance to play around with it because I'm stubborn and only play a druid, and they didn't update foreign models. So
he's like, I'm boycotting looking at anything new. There's no druid.
The one thing I will say though that I really enjoyed about the new models is I could be wrong, but I feel like I felt the new ogre models had that same level of fidelity. And I remember there was a moment when we were running through a dungeon and I like saw an ogre dead on the ground, and like I was like, holy crap, like he looks like he's in pain. He looks like I just killed him, and I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
You feel bad. You feel bad. Well, they
maybe
did their
not
job.
that bad.
I mean, they're definitely. It is really quite amazing to see what they're doing with this engine. Like they just keep updating. And I am just like, wow, I cannot believe that this same game. What is it? Is it 10 years old? 9 years old? What did they just have an anniversary?
9.
What was it? 9.
It's 9 years old. Yeah, it's 9 years old.
9 years old. What MMO on the market that's 9 years old looks this good? Seriously.
Yeah, it is
Crazy.
impressive.
What MMO on the market has been #1 for the past 7 years running? Just saying.
Dark Age of Camelot.
Yeah, they look insane.
What do you guys think? What about the cloaks?
Yeah.
Did you guys check out the cloaks? These look pretty badass.
They do. I think I kind of feel like they made a mistake putting the cloaks in with the new undead models. Everyone was like, yeah, cloaks. Anyhow, the new undead models, they look cool. Like I know they've used the fluid dynamics again on the cloaks, and they look cool. Don't know whether I'm going to unhide my cloak. Always have my cloak hidden. Think they look dumb at the minute. But
a lot
maybe
of people
I'll
do, but looking at these, what do you think? I mean, do you think you're going to start unhiding your cloak?
I think the real choice of unhiding it is going to come from the way that it moves when you're walking. Because right now, I still enjoy having my cloak, but right now when you're walking, it does this little weird waggle at the bottom when you're moving around, and that's, I think, what looks really off about the cloaks, especially the longer cloaks. So I think that if they address that problem...
So it's going to go down to more of the physics for you guys.
And it does look like they're doing that. I mean, they're adding, like, as you can see on that pic right there, I mean, they're kind of breaking down the cloak a lot more and putting what they call bones in it so that it can move a little bit more, a little bit freer or something. So I'm hoping that it does move a little bit better. But I never hide my cloak. Got to cover my ass.
There you go. Which again, no, you bring up a good point, but you're talking about like, that they're adding bones, which is basically like, like a skeleton, like they do in the character models to give like kind of emotion. And the reason I really think that they're actually going to probably flow quite well is check out it's a little hard to see on a stream probably, but look at the actual fluidity of the movement of it in the fingers and the hands now that we've never seen before. They're actually really like fluid and smooth, just kind of how they like pulsate a little bit and move.
Don't they point now when you point instead of just going
like they're not an upper mitt anymore. They've got fingers and stuff.
So if that's what they're doing with sort of the skeletal, the bones of your character, I don't see why that same sort of bit of fidelity is not going to be added to the cloaks, to kind of get like a nice flowing thing. But come on, Blizzard, start making some more videos and sending some stuff up. We need some run animations and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so moving on with the Morgan Webb video, the Morgan Show. That's what it's called now, the Morgan Show. By the way, I just renamed it.
Sure.
They gave us information on garrisons, which is something that like we didn't even talk about barely. Did we even mention it last show? I don't think we did.
We talked about it at
like we had a viewer question.
I think
that was like it.
So.
Yeah, we had a viewer question last week about garrisons as well, but we had like no time to answer it. We were so long.
We haven't even had time. So
Yeah.
They were a key topic at BlizzCon. And I mean, people like almost had like a standing ovation practically when they brought them up. It was a really big deal. But before we get into sort of like, you know, the Morgan Webb Show stuff, somebody sum up really quickly. What are garrisons all about, Liv? Like, you know, they're just more than just player housing, right? Yes, Gary, they are.
Yes, Gary, they're really cool.
And if Morgan was here, she would tell you all about them.
That's right. That's right.
Pat, tell me about garrisons.
All right. Well, basically, it is personal housing, but there's a little bit more to it. You're going to be able to get followers to you know, gain reputation with those guys and say, hey, come along with me, and then they'll go, okay, fine. Then you'll have basically workers for offline progression. And you'll be able to do various tasks with those guys, like mining or sending them out on a raid or something along those lines. And then also you'll be able to customize this area. It's going to be several different buildings that you'll be able to kind of stockpile and build along the way. Oh, there we go.
Hey.
There we go. Now I'm split screen.
That mouse.
But yeah, I mean, it should be kind of cool as they kind of figure out as they develop this thing and really tell everybody what's going on with these things. Like right here, you see 3 different levels of the same type of building, so you'd be able to level up.
This is how you can actually, like, you know, upgrade your garrisons as they sort of level and stuff and add things. How customizable do you think that these are actually going to be? I mean, do you foresee it like just sort of like this image here where it's 3 different tiers? You start off with the left one, move eventually to the middle one, and then move to the right one, and not really a whole lot of customization in between.
I don't think there's going to be much building style customization. I mean, they've talked about how, you know, they're not going to just basically let it open. Like, I can build a tower on this end, but they did talk about the idea of kind of doing what Final Fantasy XIV is doing, where if you kill a certain monster, you can maybe show off the prestige somewhere in your garrison, a la, you know, what
trophies
we got with the Onyxia and Nefarian Head.
Yeah, the trophies are going to be cool on the inside and be able to kind of show some of those personal things off a little bit. And then also you're going to be able to tailor the garrison a little bit to your own taste anyway, because they have several different plots for different types of buildings. So you'll be able to kind of pick and choose what buildings you want to go where. And the big customizable thing is that you're going to be able to place your garrison in various zones. And I'm not sure if all zones in Draenor are going to be able to keep garrisons or not, but it sounds like a lot of them will be. So you'll be able to kind of place your garrison more or less where you want it to be, which is kind of
so
cool.
Pat, here's something I want to throw to you here. Do you think that they've talked about followers and they talked about how the mechanic of the inn is going to be this? You know, if you build an inn, you can basically create a place for followers to come, and you can find followers that way.
Yeah.
However, do you think that it is possible Blizzard might go the route of creating these quest lines and these events that you can participate in, that if you complete, you'll achieve a specific kind of follower that will then be sent back to your garrison, and then it's like you earned. And that way you're not only necessarily earning different buildings, but you're also, there's ways to earn certain followers. So when someone comes to my garrison, they're like, "Holy cow, how'd you get Cloud Striff?" And I'm like, "Man, you should have seen that quest. It was awesome."
Or it could be along the lines of like you are already doing something like a raid or something like that, and you get some kind of loot, either off of just like a trash mob even, where you can have that, and maybe that's something you turn in for reputation with somebody, like what we saw on the farm. So even as you're questing around, you can gather stuff either out in the world or in dungeons and raids, and be able to turn that stuff in to gain favor with certain NPCs in the world. That could be kind of cool too.
How like I gotta wonder what the sort of offline progression stuff with the NPCs, like how much fun is that going to be? Or like, is it just really like a click, like right click and send and go? And is it really just a click and I'm done sort of thing? And
think about all those games. Think about like the Dragon Vales and the Jurassic Parks on the iPhone, where it's like, all I do is, I forget what you do. You just like tap, like you set up a dinosaur to sit there and farm for 12 hours. You come back 12 hours later and it's giving you 100 currency, and that was the entire game. So I think that,
God, forget it. Just scratch everything I just said, because the first thing that popped in my head when you said was that damn cookie freaking game that people just sit for.
The cookie clicker?
Clicky clicker! Yeah. Like, so, yeah, but...
yeah.
I think people are fine with it. I think that people are okay with the idea of like, I've got my followers, and the interaction that I have with them is like, I go to my quest, I'm like, you can go do a dungeon, you can go do a raid, you can go do a quest. Like, there's some people that'll be like, hey, I'm going on vacation for a week, so I'm going to send these guys on a raid, and I'll collect this when I get back.
But what do you, when you say that, right? But what do you think the loot's going to be like? Like, it can't nearly be like if you go do the raid. I mean, is it going to be worth, like, can you go send them to old raid dungeons and get like pretty decent loot instead of running it?
It's not loot for you. I think it's more, they talked about how you're going to have to get gear for your followers. So I think it's entirely its own metagame, where you'll be gearing your followers, and even a potential chance of, if you're like, hey, I'm going to send you on a raid, and you send them and they weren't geared up enough, theoretically, they could come back and they've wiped and you didn't get anything because you sent them in too early. So I don't think the followers aren't going to be, at least on like raids and quests and bringing back gear, it's not going to be for you. I think there's still potential for them to do, trading professions and whatnot, but as long as it stays self-contained to its own little metagame, I think that it'll be fine.
They'll just bring you back.
World of Warcraft is now EVE Online.
They're just gonna all the NPCs are gonna do. They're just gonna bring you back fail bags. 28 gold.
Yeah,
and then that's it. You're done. So you might. So if you want 28 gold, send them out for a week. You'll be fine. That's good.
So what they actually, what they added in the Morgan Webb show that we did not know was that they're actually going to cost both gold and some kind of resource to upgrade them. They also mentioned why these weren't done as guild content, saying that guild masters would take over. And Pat Crane,
yeah,
make words, because I know you were really, really into the guild content, and you were kind of rubbed the wrong way by the fact that this wasn't revolving around guilds. And what do you think of that?
I can understand their concern. The concern was that GMs would take over and make it into their own thing, and then just only include like maybe a couple of officers that they like, some friends of theirs, and then those 3 or 4 guys would just kind of take over all the duties necessary to for the upkeep for this garrison. And I think that there's ways to skirt around that. And maybe one of the ideas would be that GMs would not be able to actually do anything for the guild garrison or something. But and this is nothing to take away from the personal garrison, because I do think personal garrisons are pretty cool. I think that that's a good idea, and I think that could be a really cool metagame. And I understand the concerns for guild garrisons. However, I really hope as they develop this further that they can figure it out. So I don't know. I still think guild garrisons would be good.
You're sticking with we want guild garrisons. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
I'm sticking with I want guild garrisons. Yeah. I know that much. So
I don't care what they're talking about. I just want it.
That's right.
Olivia, how are you? Thanks. Welcome back.
So how I kind of live in the rural area of England, and of how apparently the internet there is more reliable than here in Southern California. So that's fun.
That is a thing. We're talking about the garrisons. We're talking about garrisons and about how it's not really based around guild content. Pat hates it and can't stand Blizzard and is quitting the game. because there's nothing left to do. Rage quitting.
Everyone hates this week. Why do you guys hate so much? Where's the love? Where's the love for the garrisons? I know I'm kind of mixed about them being guild content. I can totally see, like, if they were guild content, how people might feel like that someone would take them over. Like, think about the amount of drama surrounding things like the Dragon Wrath staff. Like, guilds, it's this nice notion that they're all lovely, friendly, happy places, but actually they're not. Like, guild masters can be complete arses, and I think it's great that with this you've got the option. Like, as far as I can gather from the stuff I've read about garrisons, there's absolutely nothing to say that you can't literally port your whole guild into your garrison and have a guild party. And like it's like when you go to BlizzCon, someone's hotel room's the party room, and maybe someone's garrison is going to be the party garrison where you all go and hang out. Like, you can invite parties into there, so maybe you can only get people in a few at a time, but. Right. Who knows? Maybe you will be able to get your whole guild in there.
Well, I think the maximum is going to be 40, because that's what you can.
Okay, so maybe you're in Convert to Raid Guild, which is like 4,000 people.
Yeah, you got 7,000 people. We can't really put that together.
My guild, which has like 20, would be tons. 25 would be the most that's going to be online. So.
Right, and I think
maybe they should just give you your own servers. Maybe they should just have a Convert to Raid servers, and they can just put all your guilds over there. It's just like, the whole entire world is CTR.
We're taking over, baby. That's it. That is it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're better as individual content, because you've got the choice. You've got the option to be like, right, this is just for me. This is my garrison. I'm not going to let anyone in. I've got my private collection of minions, or whatever they call the followers. Sorry, and I'm not going to let anyone in. Or you can have it as a thing where you can invite all your friends. It's entirely up to you. So I think this is a better solution, and maybe like Ray Kobo said that there might be guild content added to them in the future.
Right.
So maybe there's like some kind of add-on or some kind of adaptation they can do. But I think they've made the right choice keeping it guild, not guild personal player level.
Well, and I think that they do have to develop it further. So this is a new thing for them. I will totally keep an open mind to the personal garrison thing, and I do hope that they try to build in some kind of guild thing eventually, because I do think that it's important for guilds to be able to kind of express themselves as a group, and this is maybe one way to do it. So, and to get together outside of raiding or outside of anything else, and just be able to do something by themselves. So we
touched on last week really quickly. I think I don't even remember if people remember, but we talked really quickly about just going back to the loot, and the question came up of like, do you think that these, because you're getting loot out of this, could it possibly, like, I know you said that you think that the loot's going to be different for NPCs, but could this potentially fall into the category of becoming mandatory, that guilds start making leveling up and doing these things with your garrisons mandatory? Like, could they become dailies almost?
It will be for top-end guilds that want to enforce back in the day when professions got forced on people, because they stated that by having a max level blacksmithing plot in your garrison, you get plus 200 health, and that's all made up. Yeah. That's not actually the way it is. But I believe, Olivia, you said that they even came out and said they recognized that it's going to force players to participate in garrisons in this manner at the top tier. And if you want to do it, you can. If you don't, you don't. Yeah. But if you're top tier, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Ray Kobo, I had an interview with the guy, and he was sort of saying, well, yeah, there's like trying to explain it away as like, well, there's different loot buckets. So there's the loot bucket that you pull your loot from when you are out in the world, or there's the loot bucket that, you send your followers off, and because it's in these different buckets, we don't think people will find it mandatory. It's like, dude, it's another lovely guy. It's another opportunity to get loot.
Right.
Raiders are gonna consider this mandatory. Like, like they did the dailies, like, all of these previous things. I really, really hope that like the garrisons won't be considered mandatory, like and that they won't be too grindy. One of the things which kind of concerned me from the WoW Source interviews was this whole notion of, oh yeah, it's a bit of gold. I was like, all right, so gold, that's not too bad. Everyone has to get gold. But it's also materials, that like you have to get like wood or stone to expand your garrison. I can just see these being such a grind. Like I can really see these being grindy to like build it up. And I really hope that Blizzard don't make it like that. But I can't see a world in which these won't be required for raiding. to the same extent as dailies and things are.
Right. Well, I will remind you that, I think that they've learned their lesson with dailies from 5.0, and it does seem like a lot of heroic raiders made it through 5.0 fairly unscathed, maybe a little bitter, but definitely, they made it through. They're okay. And a lot of the really top end guys, they didn't complain at all. They just said, okay, I got to do it. Let's just do it. Yeah. And so,
for sure.
I think that those really top teams are going to be the same way when it comes to garrisons. They're going to be saying, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, this is what I need to do to get this. So let's just do it and get it over with, and then do it on my next character, and then do it on my next character.
Yeah, so that's the bit that I worry about. Like, chat room is actually telling me right now that you can just use your followers to get the material, so that doesn't sound too grindy. Awesome. I was really hoping that I don't know, like the notion of having garrisons on all my alts and having to run all these separate garrisons, to me, that doesn't, I don't know. I'm honestly, I am not remotely excited about garrisons.
It sounds like it could take the fun out of it, doesn't it? Like, it sounds almost like...
To do it again and again and again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this.
Mike Schaffner has the answer.
Roll one character and play one character always.
Oh!
Problem solved.
It works.
Like, how many people do that? Honestly, I would love to do a survey and find out how many people play just one character ever.
Well, and how many top raiders are doing that? None.
I'll tell you how many.
At least
that
one.
Many.
Probably more like 3, but
Yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
So, have you guys been talking to any of the progression guys since this has dropped and kind of found out what their thoughts on it? I mean, of course, I'm sure the answer is going to be like, well, if we have to do it for that edge, we are going to do it. But do they seem happy about it, or kind of miffed?
Trekkie was in chat. Trekkie, tell us what you think about garrisons. He's just
they're going to do it. You know they're going to do it. Yeah.
The only thing that I talked to the top raiders about was about mythic raiding. And they all seemed really excited for it, so that part was at least good. So we'll see what Trekkie has to say about garrisons here in just a second.
Garrisons are the new
I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of people were saying on Twitter when the garrison thing first came out. Yeah, if we have to do it, yeah. So it looks like the garrison, they made this big thing of making no new dailies, and like that garrisons are something you go into. Garrisons are like an extension of the farm, and the farm was effectively dailies. So people are sort of saying, "Oh, a garrison's just dailies in disguise." I mean, like, I don't know. We haven't played them yet. We can't tell. The answer is I really hope not.
Well, let's hope it's at least more open than those dailies were in 5.0 and stuff like that. And so you have a little bit more choice in the matter as far as what kind of grind you want to do for yourself.
For sure. But don't you think that there's going to be like an elitist jerk spreadsheet on how to build your garrison most effectively to get the most effective?
Yes,
like, you need to have one person who's spec'd into stable and one person who's spec'd into infirmary and all of this stuff. Like, there's going to be guides, and there's going to be stuff that people use and what's best in garrison.
I've got an idea. Let's min-max a metagame. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's min-max this sucker.
Have you met the WoW raiding community?
I know.
You've met the WoW raiding. You've met the internet, right?
I have met the raiding community, and they tell me exactly what I need to do every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
to min-max everything.
Elitist jerks min-maxed cookie clicker, for God's sake.
That's right.
They'll min-max literally any content. It's gonna happen.
All right, so the other big news today, let's get back to the Morgan Webb show.
It's not the Morgan Webb show.
This is the Morgan Webb show. Morgan Webb.
No, but this news isn't from the Morgan Webb show.
Morgan Webb. I don't think that is more. That's why I clicked on it.
I was going to say, who are these naked ladies with nipples? Why do we have this on this show? What is happening here?
That's definitely Morgan Webb. That's Morgan Webb. That's definitely Morgan Webb.
Is this really part of the show now? The naked lady segment?
Yeah, it's the Morgan Webb segment. It's her show. So the other big news today was that Ian Hazacostas announced that Blizzard are testing, check this out, in addition to the current in-game raid finder on the PTR. And no, not LFR. Not the raid finding tool. Or it is the raid finding tool. Excuse me. Not LFR. Does anybody even know what this is? Does anyone on this panel even use this? Who uses this? Where is this? I need like a map to find it.
It's in the game. It's in the
yeah,
game.
where?
Game somewhere.
Can somebody
click around?
Where is it?
I went on this. I saw this on the Blue Tracker today, and I was like, "Oh, it's already up on the PTR. Awesome! I'll go get some screenshots." I logged into the PTR. I was like, "Yeah, let's get some." Wait, where is that? Where even is this thing? And I had to.
So you literally didn't know where it was at. Nobody knows where it is.
Not a clue. Like I like to think of myself as someone who kind of knows about World of Warcraft, and I now know where it is. I found it.
It's been in the
I'm
game.
sure Sharon are confused that we're even talking about it. Yeah.
I had to text my friend and ask him where it was.
That friend was ghost crawling.
Mike knows.
Mike knows where it is. Tell us where it is.
Have you used this?
Tell us where it is.
I don't remember.
Tell us where it is. How do you get to it, Mike?
I'm assuming it's been a while. Raid tab, and then there's like another like other raids. Like
he's looking at the show notes, which tell you where it is.
I'm not even scrolled down on the show notes. I'm just saying that's a feature that they've implemented since Wrath. That it was you'd always open and you'd see like 5 or 6 people in their own individual groups, and then like maybe like 2 or 3 extra people, and then like you could never hope to find a group that way. It was a feature that they said that they implemented, and it just never saw the use that they wanted to. And then I think OQ and Open Raid became super popular. They see how that works, and they're like, all right, time to revamp that feature and make it a little bit more viable.
All right, so what is this unknown feature, Liv? What have they revamped? What have they added to it after your internet sleuthing?
So what they've done is they've taken the existing, so this raid finder feature, which is basically like, it's a group finder, and like Mike says, you can go in and you can register yourself, like, oh, I want to do ICC, I want to do ICC 25 Heroic, and they puts you into a queue, it puts you into a list of people that is like, hello, my name's Olivia, and I want to do ICC 25 Heroic. And then what actually happens after that is that you have the system where apparently people can invite you to groups. So you can either start your own group from within that raid, like within that system, or you can like pull people into a group and go in there with a pre-formed group and try to find some more people. What they've done is they've added in flex raids from Siege of Orgrimmar, and also added in they've added in Ordos and the Celestial bosses. So there's additional things in there, and it's basically cross-realm now for those 3 things. So for the Ordos, for the Celestials, and for Mr. Pandaria Flex, it's now cross-realm. It's not cross-realm for anything else. So that's the change. That's the whole change as well. What I thought, I wrote an article about this, which got me into trouble with the Blizzard. And what I thought was that this was the first step towards this new group finder that they were talking about at BlizzCon. So I wrote an article basically saying, look, this is the first step towards the new group finder we talked about at BlizzCon, and it's awful. Why are they doing it? Why are they basing it off of this system? This is a terrible, terrible idea. Guys, you're the literal worst Blizzard I've ever blizzarded. And this is
then
dumb.
G Street came over the house.
G Street and
he came right over. He's like, here, first of all, let me help you find it through this menu diagram.
And then what they said was, hey, we're just testing the functionality here. This is not like the full-blown thing. This is not the finished version of this whatsoever.
So what they basically said, what I was saying in that article is that this would be the starting point they would build it from. And they basically said, no, we're starting again. this is terrible. I think Greg's actual tweet was something along the lines of, this is us adding additional functionality to our terrible, old, crappy system, and we will still be building a new group finder in 6.0. This isn't it, was basically the long and short of their message.
And it will be in a place where you can actually find it, which
well,
is
fingers crossed, like, you know, that's
hey,
going to be
Shaft
like
knew where it was.
Major thing.
Yeah,
Shaft knew where it was. I didn't.
He knew.
Pat, be honest, did you know? Did you know?
I knew at one point and then forgot forever, because I mean it's kind of like the voice option in WoW, right? So it's like you knew where it was at one point, and then you said, "Oh, you know what? This is terrible. I'm going to forget where this is."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm never using this. This is the worst way to find a raid ever. So yeah, it wasn't something that people used. So
all right, so put on your developer hats for a second, since they're putting this new system together. We don't have developer hats. We need to get some. But I don't know. Since they're putting this new system together, what do you guys think that they need to be doing?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you got?
What do you got, Mike?
I would say copy OQ, but
yes!
I personally just don't even enjoy it. I know it's got to have like all these great mystical things that make it so much easier to join a group. But every time I've been like OQ, and then I have to get spammed to death, and I'm like, I can't find a group. I don't know what I'm doing. They need to make it an easier to understand. Because here's the thing, and Olivia, you're probably like, OQ is super easy to use. I wrote a guide about it. Well, guess what? You shouldn't have to write a guide about it.
I didn't read your guide. Your guide is terrible.
It's got to be easy enough to understand to just open and to know exactly what you're doing, and that's what they could do to make it better.
For sure. Like they need to basically make a carbon copy of OQ that is way more user friendly. OQ has so many good things about it. Like one of the things that's been like put up in the comments on articles, which is something that I hadn't even really thought about, is what's so good about OQ is that it allows individual players to browse groups rather than allowing individual players to advertise for groups. So think about it, like how many times do you see in trade, oh, you know, Shadow Priest, 522 eye level, looking for flex at Siege of Orgrimmar. And like millions of those, but no one's actually making a group. And it's just like, no, the way that OQ works is it's a looking for more add-on rather than a looking for group. And like the solo queue systems, which are in the game at the moment, like Looking for Raid, like the Dungeon Finder, are fantastic for looking for group because they match you randomly. Whereas this OQ replacement, and I'm going to continue calling it an OQ replacement because that's what they're building, is it needs to be there as an LFN style group. So this is a group, these are all the groups, and you can register your interest in those groups, and the leaders of those groups will select you or reject you based on their own criteria. And for me, I think that's how it has to work. That's what they need to build.
But is that pretty much the extent of it? They basically just need to take that, carbon copy it, slim down, and make it just dead on simple. So UI and just completely strip it down.
And they just need to make it and super visible. Like they need to be hitting people in the face with it. OQ is like, although it's a terrible add-on right now, it's so clunky and it's old and it uses Battle.net in ways that no one ever thought Battle.net would be used. Like it works, but it does a really good service to the game and it's really popular. So they need to make something that's so in your face that people will find it more convenient to use than OQ. People other than Mike Shaffnet find it more
they just got to make it
to use than
simpler.
OQ.
They just got to make it easy to understand. Just when I open up a menu and I'm just...
Wow, Shaffnet. Yeah. Why would you do that?
You might want to fix that. Might want to fix that, buddy. All of a sudden, Shaffnet just dropped acid or something. I don't know what's going on.
Wow. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's not how he looks to me in the other
thing. He looks fine to me in the other thing.
Yeah.
Weird. Mind you, my internet completely dropped out for about 10 minutes, so I don't know why I'm talking.
Blame it all on Liv. Liv's internet connection in Southern California is destroying everything.
I probably gave Mike Shaffnet internet.
Terrible.
He's back. He's back. He's gone. Oh.
I'm good. I'm good on mine. It's totally
your end is fine, Mike.
Well, totally hang on. I'm working on it. I'm fixing it.
They're all in LA.
Gary's sitting there blaming me like it's my fault.
I got this.
They're all
good.
All those guys are in LA. Notice how the Minnesota internet is working just fine.
Oh, check you out, Minnesota.
That's right.
Your central internet.
Sailing.
That's right.
All right, I want to talk more about the Morgan Webb show, but first I want to tell you guys about Shutterstock. If you guys have not checked out Shutterstock, you need to do it right now. If you have a guild website or YouTube page or personal website or any kind of creative project, you really, really, really need to check out Shutterstock. We use it daily here at Gamebreaker TV. It is part of our resources that I could not, we could not run. Honestly, we rely on this source so much. Actually, I was showing this off. We were showing off how this is a little show we got called XIV Reborn. It's a Final Fantasy show. I know this is a WoW show. I do remember where I am. But I wanted to show you really quickly, like how we kind of like, you know, created this this logo treatment here and like this backplate. If you guys are Final Fantasy fans, you might notice in the top left corner there you got some Final Fantasy artwork. We grabbed that for obviously the Final Fantasy website. But then we wanted to look for something cool, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I really didn't even have too much inspiration, except I knew Final Fantasy was kind of blue and it's sparkly and it's got lights, and I started going on to Shutterstock and I started searching just the word like lights. And I started coming up with all kinds of stuff, and I made a light box called Lights. And it was just like particle effects and starburst things. And I saw this and thought this was kind of cool. And then saw some other things like this and just weird particle effects that I could like kind of put together. And then I came across this one here and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. You know, it's kind of like, you know, sci-fi-ish, got a lot of blue, reminds me of a little Final Fantasy-ish kind of thing going on. Not really, but it's close enough. I saved that one. I like that one. You can see, so we use that as kind of the base. And then we put the Final Fantasy stuff in the left to give it the little added touch of the game that we were talking about. And put the text treatment in there, which was just a pretty much standard, you know, Photoshop text stuff. And then I wanted to lay something on top to kind of like bring it all together and kind of give one more little level of dimension. If you look kind of like over the V and stuff like that, you can see some sparkles and stuff. And that was actually a whole totally another element here. We found this one here. And obviously you can see how different it looks. Like you don't see all those light rays as much as you do in this. And again, you mess around with like what are called composite modes and things like that in Photoshop, and you can like lay things on top and change the opacity. And that's just another way that we kind of use Shutterstock. And we do that stuff all the time. And I mean, to sit here and try and come up with these like particle effects, you need all kinds of plugins and expensive programs, and these are not very easy to kind of put together. So do yourself a favor, check out Shutterstock, and I want to save you guys 25% off on your Shutterstock account. All you got to do is make sure when you're ready to check out and make your purchase that you use the offer code GameBreaker1113. You will immediately save 25% off on your Shutterstock account. So happy to have these guys on as sponsors. Shutterstock. All right, so Bike Shafton is still tripping. You might want to turn that off and back on, or drop and come back. I don't know what you want to do.
It's you, Gary. It's you, Gary.
I can't do anything, so not much I can do, Shav.
He just dropped.
There,
there he goes. Now he's
there
back.
he goes, and now he's back. And now it's not you, because now it's Liv.
Oh,
wow. She
wow.
shifted.
It's Wow. I'm the one who's it's all special and pixelated.
Got rid of it. I don't care. I ditched the problem.
It's Gary. It's Gary.
All right. Well, you can try. I don't really know what I can do. I'll try and fix it when somebody's talking. All right. So next up on the Morgan Webb Show, something else we haven't had much time to talk about on this show. Sorry, I can't remember. What are we talking about? Oh, the new PvP zone. Ashran coming in 6.0. So this is going to be an island just off the northeast coast of Tannen Jungle. And as we heard at BlizzCon, it seems to be aimed at people who love the old school Alterac Valley. The long drawn out battles of Alterac Valley. So you've got objectives. You've got some that are quicker and ones that might take days, they're saying. According to Tom Chilton on the Morgan Webb Show, some will take days. I don't know. How does this sound? How does this sound different from your perspective? What do you think of this, Schaefer?
I had this conversation a little bit with Kalinka, and I think that the thing about Alterac Valley, I like the idea of what they're trying to bring back here, that feel of these epic long battlegrounds that took days to complete. But ultimately, if we think back to why we did those in the first place, it was because it was really the first step towards telling you to go get gear. I remember when I hit 60, and I was playing a Paladin at the time, as the first character I ever rolled, and I was like, all right, cool, I need a weapon. They're like, oh, go get the Unstoppable Force from Alterac Valley. Have fun. And that was one of the reasons why I wound up doing Alterac Valley. It's not, and I didn't ultimately quit after I achieved my item, but I still found purpose in going to Alterac Valley, and I still had that carrot on a stick that was leading me to go into it. And I talked to Halink a little bit about this, and I had asked him. He didn't necessarily give me a straightforward answer of oh, well, it doesn't matter because of this, which is why I'm still a little bit concerned about it, is with so many routes to get gear now, yes, the PvP, the World PvP ground will exist there for the people who want it to be, but part of the reason these battles were able to go on was because we had people queuing for them because they wanted to get their items, which made it a populated area. That being said, I think the answer to this problem for them was the fact that that zone is going to be a cross-realm zone. So they can make sure that that island is constantly populated of the people who want to participate in that kind of battle and go back and forth and potentially try and achieve whatever item they're trying to get that way. But there has to be some sort of motivation for me to want to go deal with a long battle, even if it's just for the joy of, like, I'm going to go sit in a PvP ground for 2 days because this is fun. There still needs to be a carrot on the stick for the reason why I'm doing it. Otherwise, I might just get. I might just get bored of it. I think some people.
Right, so what does everybody else think of the objectives here? What do you guys think of the objectives? Things like collecting up scraps to build armor, summoning NPCs.
I think it's cool that they're trying to do something like what AV did. AV was actually my favorite battleground as I leveled up, and as some of you guys know, I didn't necessarily I came to the game in Wrath, so I actually used it to level my hunter from 60 to 70. You know, so I did 10 levels, basically most of it in AV. So it was actually pretty cool, and I'm kind of glad that they have some maybe more, not necessarily PvE centered, but some kind of more something that isn't necessarily only PvP related. I mean, it's kind of like a side quest or something like that. I mean, remember in AV how you had to go back in that cave and kill the dude and then come back and, you know, do whatever it was. I can't remember what the hell it was now. But you know, it was always just kind of fun and kind of different and like, oh, you want to summon this big dude? Okay, well then you got to gather up some friends and go summon up this other guy, and that's always cool too, because those dudes, they wreaked a lot of havoc. Yeah,
it owned when you actually managed to summon the frost dude or the tree dude. I can never remember their actual names. PvP is for you. It's just like, what lore? Where? No, just frost dude, and tree dude. And I'm super excited about the object. Sorry, I just jumped on someone talking.
No, I just wanted to reiterate that Herlinka did come out and say that they're, you know, adding stuff like that and the Frost Lord and I forget what the tree one is. And I'm a lore person. I don't even know what it's
called. Frost dude, tree dude.
He did say objectives like that are within, you know, everything that they want to bring to that zone. You know, the idea of the generals of Belinda and I forget who the Horde guy was.
The other one.
The other one. Those, you know, those kind of objectives, those kind of territories to own and hold and fight for will all be a part of the zone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's like the objectives are really exciting. Like I think they mentioned things like building up additional armor, summoning stronger NPCs, and then just like other little bits and bobs here and there, and some that would take days to complete and some that would be much quicker to complete. It kind of reminds me of Heroes of the Storm a little bit, like the sort of notion of map-based objectives, which is really exciting in the Heroes of the Storm context, but in WoW we're just like, oh, we're so jaded about this because of what Alterac Valley is now. And like there's people in chat saying, you know, look, there's all these sort of people looking at this with rose-tinted spectacles and, you know, people who are sort of unrealistically happy about old AV. AV now is terrible. Sure, that's a problem. And I think one of the things they've really got to do with this is make sure that there's consistently achievable rewards. They've got to offer lots and lots of carrots and not too many sticks to make people stay and keep doing this. I mean, like, look at Timeless Isle. That was a zone where you had, like, higher population and world PvP, and it tailed off so fast after the initial I'm talking about the Censor of Eternal Agony here as well. Like, that tailed off so fast. People stopped using that so quickly. And like Brian said to me that like the PvP vendors will be in this space, and they're looking at offering things like maybe small, like I think they should be offering small amounts of conquest for this. And if it's battles that can last days, I kind of feel like the Guild Wars 2 World v World thing, like where because there's no ending, to me that's less engaging. Like it sort of feels like it's just going on and on and on, and you don't feel like you're having much of a huge personal impact on it. So I definitely hope that they don't go down that route and go more along the lines of sort of, as long as there's a beginning and an end. Like, I feel like I remember
them saying that there would be a definitive ending and that it would, would have an ending and reset at some point. But I actually asked Brian the exact same question. I said, what are going to make people go to this island and actually engage in this content? Of course, when it hits initially, it'll be the new hotness. Everybody will run there. But what are really going to be the objectives? And we actually got into a long conversation about this, and I started talking about Star Wars Galaxies and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was like,
everyone stop paying attention.
Right.
But that's really like, that's going to be the big thing is what are these carrots going to be? What is going to be the reason that I'm going to want to spend hours on this, like, off continent island somewhere? Like, because after the hotness wears off, there's got to be some really almost bigger picture.
I can see things like sorry,
Winter Grasp. Let's just talk about that real quick. I mean, you get an additional raid if you control the area. I mean, that's really cool. So doing something like that could be one of the reasons why people go there. I mean, it didn't necessarily work for Tolbarad all the time.
But I'm going to say, once you've gotten that and once you've done that, But once you've done the raid, like then it doesn't really matter.
But the thing is, like, I can imagine them doing stuff like capturable world bosses. Like, so they have a boss there that, like for example, the Celestials at the moment drop PvP gear. Never for me. They always drop tier gear for me, and I don't want it. I want the PvP gear. And everyone else gets driven mad because they want the tier gear, which I anyway. And like, they could do zones which have a capturable world boss in it. So by controlling that zone, you control that world boss. And like, I can totally imagine you rush up there. You've got it. You're the Alliance. You've got it. You can hold it for long enough to zerg down that boss, get the kill, get the items. And then just be like, well, off we go. And then the Horde can capture it. The boss will reappear in like a couple of hours' time. Like, just make it lots of small pitched battles like that. And that would be really cool. And as long as people are getting gear from it, getting points from it, getting like items out of it.
I'm going to go another way with this. I'm going to, Pat, I want you to jump in because I think this is going to be a perfect example where they could develop some content specifically almost for guilds. Like, I think it needs to be more of a bigger picture, large groups of people where, you know, you want to get all the CTR. So I think there could be a bigger picture more than on a personal level. It could be like a group-wide sort of resource or something that's like makes people want to get in there in large groups of people to actually wage war.
I think there could be some kind of, you know, carrots out there for like the servers that are involved or something along those lines. And because it's cross server, it could get fairly interesting because then you don't necessarily know exactly which servers are going to be grouped with what servers. So it could be a very interesting mix of just kind of battling random people, which could be kind of cool, especially on a longer form like this. But yes, I think the rewards do need to be fairly large, and they need to please both PvP folk and PvE folk, because I do think that, you know, PvE right now has we have a lot of people playing it, so we got to make sure that they need those guys involved.
They need to design this island, and I hope they design this island completely separating it from the fact, and I could be wrong, but I feel like they said this island is for people who want a world PvP. If you don't want a world PvP, it's not for you. It's not designed for you. So there's two problems. One, by putting a raid in there, you're forcing PvEers to feel like they have to go to this zone to participate in these battles, which again, I feel like contradicts exactly what they're trying to design here and what they expressed they were trying to design. Two, the problem is by putting in a definitive end. I agree with you. There needs to be some sort of end feeling to it, but the problem there is that you're then just creating toll-barotted wintergrass where people are only showing up into the zone during the beginning and during the end, and then as soon as it's over, everyone leaves.
Yeah, so that's true.
There's still a problem there, and they need to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's got to be really hard for them to cater to everybody here, but like, I don't know whether they can do. I just personally don't know whether a continuous World v World styled PvP zone will ever work in WoW. Like, do people have that sort of time commitment to put into the game anymore, where they really will do that whole thing of like staying up for as long as they can just to do like Alterac Valley? Is that really something that people will do anymore when there's other things that are way more convenient, that are way quicker to get rewards? This is like, I'm really excited about the idea of the zone. I'm excited about the notion of objectives. I'm excited about the notions of the NPCs, the stuff that's been described. I'm excited about having PvP vendors there because you can, you know, there's a reason to actually be on the island if you're into PvP. But I think it's going to be so hard for them to design this in a way that keeps people coming back. And to me, it's got to be about rewards. It's got to be about breadcrumb.
Stat bonuses for all raiders. You got to hold the island. Now the progression raiders got to get in large guilds, and they got to hold the island to get stat bonuses to get the edge up.
Well, didn't they do that? Didn't you do that with like? Wasn't there a bonus if you held Wintergrass? Wasn't there like a bonus on your faction if you held Wintergrass? Did I just make that up? Was that a total lie?
There was a buff for like.
Now garrisons are mandatory, and holding the island are going to be mandatory.
So here's the thing, though, to consider. It doesn't have to be a physical reward that applies to everyone. I don't know how you're going to capture this. It's because it's cross-realm. But think of the iconic, perfect world PvP scenario. That was Brad, South Shore, and Terran Mill. There was no rewards there, and it worked great. Everybody loved it, but it worked because the carrot on the stick was, my friend's getting ganked. He's bothering the crap out of me.
That was ruining. So it was ruining that motherfucker's day. Like, it was like, I'm stopping them from. They are not gonna quest in this area. You are done.
No. Exactly. That has to.
The glory days of World of Warcraft vanilla. I loved it. That was the best. That was the greatest thing ever.
Though. That's what has to exist. I think it's going to cause a problem if it is a physical reward, because it's going to, as we've kind of talked about, it's going to become a mandatory thing that PvEers and places like people who don't want to participate in this content have to go mandatorily participate in, which Hillsbrad never was. But what Hillsbrad had was the glory and satisfaction of humiliating someone else, and the mandatoriness of it was just a high-populated, low-level zone where people would always end up going and ganking, and so it was just bound to happen always and forever.
It's hard.
Yeah, but I think
open world PvP at some level, it has to have a risk. Like, and World of Warcraft is not really known for that. Like, it's not.
I mean,
really
they are going to pull flying from this new zone as well. So that's something to consider.
But good open world PvP has to have risk. Somebody has to have a bad day. Like, at the end of the day, somebody's got to beat them down to their face, and they're annoyed that they can't. Like, that's what it was. South Shore was fun for us because they couldn't play, and yes, we're mean people, and I get it. But that's why it happened. Because of what it did. I mean, that's why you play competitive, like, you know, whether it's FPS or whatever. But I think, like,
I don't know whether that environment exists anymore in WoW. Like, I don't know whether people would now ever do PvP. Like, in WoW, like, WoW in vanilla was a really, really different game to where we're at now. Like, will people actually engage in WoW PvP in that same way? Like,
I completely agree.
They bring friends and they bring, like, it's a different environment. Like, it's all well and good to have this rose-tinted spectacles. And Brian does point out about, in chat about the fact that you did have obviously the honor grind and the ranks and the titles and everything as well. So don't let's completely forget about that. But so there is that there, the prestige of those titles. But will people now do PvP in a long-term, engaged, open world way and risk the annoyance of being ganked and risk the, world PvP is never fair. It's part of the fun, but it's never fair. And it's frustrating sometimes if you're on the losing side of that never fairness. Yep. Will people do that without rewards? When there's so much else in this game that they could be doing, dungeons, raids, LFR, flex, normal garrisons, dailies, pet battling. There's so much else that does give rewards. That environment where you'll do something just to piss some horde bastard off, I don't think it exists that much anymore. Unfortunately, I just don't know.
Well, that's why when I saw this announcement come out about this whole area, it was kind of confusing, and I was just like, wow, really, open world PvP in World of Warcraft, is that really going to work? When we seen that come and gone, I don't know. It's gonna be. I don't know if the motivating factor is actually going to be there for it.
I think they're going to have to do it with rewards. They're going to have to do it with conquest points. They're going to have to do it with gear. I don't see. I mean, maybe it's going to be an element of titles there. That maybe there's going to be mounts. Maybe there's going to be other cosmetic gear rewards.
I don't think that's going to do it either. I mean, they've built so much game into this game now. I mean, they've built so many different games into this game. So it's just kind of you do need to make it compelling.
Yeah,
and I think yes, you're right. I mean, mounts and pets are nice, but I don't think that's compelling enough.
I know it's going to be rewards.
The other problem is with a reward system like items. There's a set, like, I need to do this X amount of times before I get all my items. Boom, done. Okay, walk away. Again, going back to the South Shore example, that reward of just ruining low levels days and, like, oh gosh, my friend's getting stomped on, we're going to bring our whole guild and now stomp on the people who are stomping on them. That self-fulfillment didn't ever go away. That always existed because it wasn't like you were going there to get an item. It's not like, oh, I go to participate in 10 more South Shore battles and I'll get my weapon. Like, it almost, maybe it's creating a rewarding feeling that isn't necessarily an obtainable item, because that's the problem.
It's creating a rewarding feeling by crushing others' feelings.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe there's an element like that. Kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Like, and Brian is in chat saying, of course there'll be rewards. Like, duh. I think we all know there's going to be rewards coming out of there. And like, even if Mike has some valid criticisms of item-based rewards, but like maybe the things like the bosses in there, the world bosses, which you can capture and you can control them for a short while in order to get loot off them. But then you get pushed off them again. Like, maybe there's capturable objectives, maybe stuff like that. And like, maybe pushing the horde off the freaking island is going to be a more fun notion than just getting your 200 conquest points. I don't know, like, I think it's going to be, I'm fascinated to see what they're going to do with this. I think it's got such a lot of potential, and particularly the fact that they're saying, sod it, if you don't want world PvP, this zone is not for you. I think that's pretty exciting to me, because there's not going to be the Care Bear catering going on in there. And that's awesome.
But if
So
that's
I really-
the case,
yeah, I'm
then
excited.
that's to say that if that's truly how it's going to be and feel, then I think it's really got to cater to the type of person who really wants to play open world PvP. And that's the thing that's, you know, I don't know. I'm really interested to see where it's gonna go because I don't know. I kind of
Something to
agree
keep
with
an eye on.
Chafnit though, with the just the loot based items and stuff like that. Coming from someone who like,
Yeah.
that's part of an MMO that I actually am drawn to the most is open world PvP. Loot based stuff like that of just getting a drop and things like that. Like you said, once I get a couple things, I'm done. It's not, that wasn't why we did South Shore. Like we can keep going back to that thing, but it was really at that point, it's players creating their own content and doing things as a group, which is why I get back to the group thing and why I think that there could be something where if you make it about guilds and larger groups of people, you know, like you said, getting frustrated and getting pissed off that you're getting ganked made you get 20 of your other friends get and jump in the game who were like at the movies and stuff like, hey, get home. We got to kill these mother effers. And they did it.
Quest.
But that made you feel so good when you actually pulled it off. Like, and I know that's, you know, that's players kind of creating content.
For sure.
I don't know, anybody, I'm going to wrap this.
I think the one thing that I just like occurred to me that what if you could loot players? Like they didn't lose much, but you could take some gold off them. You could take.
All right,
some
Liv.
kind of little
Now you're
insignias
talking
off
my
them.
game. Now
What if we could loot players?
everybody who goes in,
because God,
go in with
if
your
I could
gear.
earn money
You could
on
lose
other
one
points
item. You
PvP.
could lose one item on you or in your bag. If you could lose one item, and then you go in
I don't
there
know
and
about
PvP.
items, but like gold,
Anything.
gold or honor. Like you're not
I
losing
would-
it, but you can
I would go
collect
there.
gold or honor off players.
No,
Not
an
actually
item.
dropping it off
I'm
them,
taking
but you
your
can
damn
collect
sword. I'm taking your helmet. Something.
I'm not saying that, but you can collect gold or honor off of, like, you know, the minute you can take the insignia. So you can take an insignia off a player in a battleground, so they can't res where they are. They can only res at the graveyard. Make it so that you can pull small amounts, not actually taking it out of their pocket, but actually just loot small
No,
amounts
take
of
it
gold or
out of
small
their
amounts
pockets.
of honor
You're
off.
missing the point. The point of open world PvP is to take it out of their fucking pockets. You want to take it from them. That is the point of open world PvP.
man.
I want to take
No
something
one would
off of
do
your
it. Like
character.
Shafter is right.
You're wrong.
No
You're
one would
so
do
wrong.
it if you could go out there.
So
Like, imagine
wrong.
if you went out there and lost your freaking sword. Like,
Yes!
that would be the most, never, you just stay
Yes!
at home and wear freaking green
No,
onto
it would
that
be-
island. There's no
It would
way.
be a small
I said
percentage
no
of
one would
people,
do it.
but they would do it if you did it right. There's a smaller percentage of people, and the people who don't want to do it wouldn't
did
go
it
on
right.
that
If you
island.
did it right.
Then you don't go on the island. Don't go. If
I
you're
agree.
afraid,
No, 'cause
don't go.
I completely agree with my point that no one would do it, but I completely
Right.
agree with Gary that it would become its own separated thing. You don't want to deal with it, you don't show up. But there's going to be people who want that feeling, who want that satisfaction, that glory of like, ha ha ha, ha I took your sword, sucks to be you. And the people that would be on that island would be very, very, very tiny, but they'd love it.
Yeah, all 3 people on that island would love that content.
Well, and since it's cross-server, you can make sure that there's always 3 people.
Oh God,
That's the important thing.
like it's just
Yeah.
packed in with crossroads so there'll be literally no one there.
Yeah, that's right.
Just
There's
a crazy idea. Like that's
Just-
not my idea. Taking weapons, not me.
right.
Apparently
Looting gold or honor off players instead of insignia.
Raiders. would
Nobody
not-
on the
Raiders would
panel
not
has
do-
ever played an open world PvP game ever. I will move on.
Sorry,
I'm not.
No one's
Go ahead.
played Star Wars Galaxies. We get it, Gary.
Yeah, we get it, Gary. No one likes your Star Wars game.
You all missed the boat. I'm sorry. You all missed it. You all a bunch of newbies coming in at Wrath and bullshit. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Pat. All right. I'm moving on. Last up this week on the Morgan Show. Hang on. Let me make myself feel a little better. Hang on. All right. I'm getting there. All right. We're good.
What? Just
Whatever.
happened?
I don't even want to know. We're
No.
still having the naked lady segment of the show.
I
which
went
I'm
back to
thrilled
the
about.
Morgan Show. I'm trying to calm myself down here. I need something to take my mind off of this Care Bear shit. I want to take your stuff, Pat. I'm going to stomp your face in the ground.
Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. I'm not gonna go to the island though.
I know you won't. I know you won't. That's
the case, I'm
fine.
not- You can come at me. You can come at me, but it's all gonna be PVE. It's not gonna. I'm not
It's
gonna
all
engage.
good.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
The
all
island
good.
doesn't want you
We
anyway.
don't want you on the island. I want the island all to myself. That's it. I will be the only one
You'll
standing
have
on the
it all to
island.
yourself if they implement your idea.
That's right. That's right. You and 2 others.
I wish, you know,
You
it'd be
would
really
shaft it.
interesting. It'd be really interesting if they could run an experiment and actually do something to see how many people actually do this. So
they
here
could
going
do,
back.
maybe they could do it for an hour. Maybe they could do it for like Saturday nights or the crazy Gary Gannon loot system night.
There you go. The crazy Gary get a loot system night, and you get a game breaker cloak. Can we make that happen, Holinka? Thank you. All right. Holy shit. Do you want to talk about this in-game store stuff on the PTR? Yeah, maybe.
Might as well.
We
We mentioned it now. We mentioned it
Alright.
in the intro, so I feel like we ought to.
So there's a bunch of
Probably.
new currencies being added. There's US dollars, there's British pounds, euros, Australian dollars, and the whole UI seems to be pretty much redesigned. Hang on, Morgan Webb. I gotta move Morgan Webb. What are you doing? Sorry, you're in my way. Here we go. There's a whole bunch of categories that have been added as well. So the current categories are services, mounts, you got pets, and you got consumables. Data miners have found a bunch more that could be added, I guess, at a later date and are categorized within the UI. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? The addition of Western currencies, definitely implies that we're going to see the store launch for real in the US. That's what most people are assuming.
I think that when we first heard about the store, we were assuming that we were going to get some kind of store in game, and Blizzard's been really upfront with this and saying that they want to leave people in the game as much as possible. That you shouldn't have to go to a website if you want to get a mount for the game. You should just be able to purchase it in game and then be able to go to your mailbox and get it. So I think that we all kind of realized that they were going to be doing this at some point, and it's kind of nice to see that they're developing it further and moving it in the right direction.
How do you guys, really quick, we talked about this stuff before. Are you guys all okay with this? It's funny, I asked another developer today in an interview who's making another game. Mark Jacobs made Dark Age of Camelot, Warhammer, and I actually asked him about a question about like the idea of how do you feel about subscription-based games with in-game stores, and he seemed quite against it. Really didn't feel like it was fair. Of course he's gonna, but I don't know. What do you guys think? People are still kind of on the fence about this. We have had in-game items in World of Warcraft for quite a while now. They just haven't been like in a store.
Right.
And I think we all agree things like, character transfers and things like that were all cool, but where does it draw the line? Where do you guys draw the line in the sand as far as like what types of things you'll start seeing in the in-game store on top of your $15 a month?
That's a really interesting question. It's like, I think the line falls in different places for different people. Like, for example, they've kind of confirmed that you are going to be getting a 90 with Warlords of Draenor. And they sort of said in like the fan site summit thing at BlizzCon itself that you would be able to also get hold of a level 90, like buying a level 90, because otherwise people would just go like buy the expansion, buy a transfer, and then you bought a level 90. So, like, would you feel okay about buying a 90 on the in-game store? Does it make a difference where you buy this stuff from? Is that even relevant? It's like, and then some people are uncool with buying lesser charms. So would those same people be cool with buying a 90? It's such a personal thing. I think it's almost impossible to draw that line and say this is definitely where it falls. Personally, if I can afford it, I will be buying 90s until the cows come home. If I had to go out and buy a Warlords of Draenor and a server transfer every single time, I do it, man. I am done with leveling. I'm over that.
And we said that as soon as they announced that the boost to level 90 with the expansion, we were like, why would they not sell the boost to level 90 just as a separate thing?
They kind of commented that they would probably be doing that because otherwise people can literally just buy another copy of the expansion, buy another server transfer, and then they've got that. So they sort of said at this fan site summit thing on the Saturday afternoon at BlizzCon, I think, that they would actually be looking at doing something along those lines.
Does that cross the line for you guys? Does that make you feel icky, Shaftnet?
So the reason I like to play through the levels, and one of the reasons why, because I don't like to level up, is one of the main reasons why I only play one character. I've got a couple alts, but I only, like, my highest second alt is like 88. My biggest problem with that, and I guess I'll throw this to you, Olivia, how do you just learn, you read up. I know that's going to be your answer, but like I enjoy the feeling of the learning leveling curve.
Yeah.
Because if you just throw me on a level 90 and say, here's all your abilities, I don't even know what ability is my main damage ability, and you got that from leveling up.
They've got that. What they've got is they've talked about this, and like Ray Kobo dealt with this in quite a lot of detail in an interview. Is they've got this area which you go through where they basically will take your hand and be like, look, okay, here is your damage dealing stuff. You'll do some quests. You'll think of it. They said to think of it like the Death Knight zone. So like you go and you level. You're going quite quickly, and there's stuff's coming in much more quickly than it would be if you were leveling from 1 to 55. Right? You start at 55 as a DK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, So it's obviously it's coming in a lot faster than that. But it's still kind of manageable. Like you can still wrap your head around DK abilities and DK damage. And they'd just be doing exactly the same thing, but for a level 90. So there'd be a start zone that you would be pushed into with these new characters, where you would learn slowly but surely how to play your class. And I mean, like, there's the other point is that, you know, do you really learn to play your class while you're leveling? And absolutely. I mean, I don't, like, you learn what this button does. Like, you learn what Wrath does. You learn what, like, a combo point is. You learn what a finishing move is. But there's a difference between knowing what different buttons do and learning how to actually genuinely play your class. I mean, personally, maybe I'm just bad at World of Warcraft, but when I get to 90, the first thing I do is I'm like, right, okay, I've done the leveling bit. Now I need to know at max level, I've got this new set of abilities just now at 87 and again at 90. I need to go find a guide. I need to go work out how to play my class.
Yeah, exactly. You're not worrying about any of that stuff.
What stuff I need to use, like, because leveling is so trivially easy now as well that you don't even need to know that stuff most of the time.
Sure. And don't forget that, you know, as you choose your spec, they do have the main spells for that particular role, right? So you do find out at least a handful of spells that go along with that spec. And with Warlords of Draenor, they're also going to be, you know, it sounds like they're going to be trying to take care of that button bloat issue so that you don't have 70 bajillion buttons to press. You have, you know, only a handful or 2 handfuls, which is much less than what's there now. And hopefully that will be able to limit your experience enough so that you won't be so confused with, I mean, like my hunter buttons, I have, you know, 6 rows of buttons for my hunter, and it's just crazy. And you don't know exactly what you're doing until you've played it for a while. But, you know, hopefully with this, it'll pare it down to like 2 or 3 rows of buttons so that you could just say, okay, here's kind of what I want to do, at least in the leveling up process, and then you can figure it out from there.
This did start out about a question about the drawing a line in the sand of in-game items, didn't it?
It did.
It did, yeah. We were talking about the story, and all of a sudden
we're talking about 90s and blah, blah, blah.
We're talking about 90s and how to play your character.
Gary, how about this? No pay to win. There's a line for you. It's a large line, but that's
a line that everybody
knows. No weapons.
Well, yeah. Well, what if they sold, like, you know, armor and weapons, or what if they were that's
something that's like in these data mine categories. They weren't like useful though unless you love transmog.
Right. And that's another thing
in these data mined categories. 2 of these data mine categories, and these may be in the wrong folder in the data mine files. So let's consider that as an option. But nonetheless, they're labeled the same as the current categories in the store, which have been found within the actual UI itself, although hidden. But there's these categories in there that are things like weapons and armor. And to me, I'm like, now that, for me, I would buy 90s forever, but that would be over the line. If you actually were able to go in and buy weapons and buy gear,
what if there were no stats?
That would, to me, would be past it.
What if they were completely transmog gear with no stats? And it was
if they were transmog gear, then I don't mind. It's totally fine. If it's transmog gear, do it. Go nuts. But if it's powerful,
and I mean, and in defense, that folder could be there for other markets and like Asian things like that, where you know it's more acceptable and they just don't even have a problem with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
But that was the thing that's where my line draws is. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if it's best in slot gear or something, you know, at least comparable to that, then yeah, that's a line.
And that whole thing, we even talked about this, Pat. I think you were there when we talked about at the community fan summit about the idea of where the line gets drawn and what means what. But, you know, going that route of transmog gear really just falls in the line of one of the most successful free-to-play games, League of Legends. You buy skins. Doesn't give you power, doesn't change your character. Right. But if you really like the way that a skin looks, you buy the skin. They can do the same thing. We've got a druid awesome gear set that we've come up with. I really like that. I'm gonna pay money for it. Like,
yep,
it's not. Oh my god, power and it's fine.
They're gonna sell just the PvP gear for the island, and you could lose it. So $5 for this sword, and I could take this freaking sword. Yes!
Oh my god, that would be so. Every table would be flipped. Every table.
Flip the table.
All the tables would be flipped all the time.
Flipped all the time.
Be quite fun though.
All right, let's do some viewer questions. This week's viewer questions are brought to you by Netflix for a free 30-day trial. If you guys have not gone over on what you are waiting for, go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Support us by supporting our sponsors. Netflix. Thank you so much, Netflix. I love the Netflix. I love the service. Go over, get a free 30-day trial. Go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. All right, let's do some viewer questions. Every week we do viewer questions, and if you guys, keep an eye on our Facebook page and our Twitter accounts. If you have a video question, which we love the video questions, of course, send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. Record yourself up on YouTube and shoot us the link, and we will play it on the show. So let's see. First up, Sinestro asks, it says, when the two previous pre-expansion novels, The Shattering and Tides of War, being released 7 weeks and 4 weeks prior to the expansion launch, respectively, and with War Crimes announced to be released on the 3rd of June 2014, you must be British, and that's wrong. Are we looking at a early to mid-July 14th Warlords launch? Ooh, I like this. This is a little bit of internet sleuthing here, basing it around the books.
Yeah.
Is this a possibility?
Which are all on Audible. First up, what was this whole "you must be British and that's wrong" thing? I kind of take issue with that.
3 June 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would never. We don't do that.
Hey, that's just as valid a way to express dates as your way.
Day, year, Liv. You're now in the US.
Yeah, that makes such perfect sense. Month, day, year, not from like big. Anyway,
how do you know what day it is, in what month? It's the 5th. The 5th of what?
The 5th of the month that you're in, Mike Shafton.
He's not talking about the month we're in.
He doesn't know what month it is.
He's talking about July.
Oh well, if only you
Yeah.
said that right after you said the date. I mean, that would make it so much easier, right? Wouldn't that be? Would that be so much?
Oh, other way.
There we go. It's okay.
What do you think, Doug? Does Sinestro have something
as far
here?
as the launch date?
Yeah.
I don't know about the books thing. But that's definitely like, I feel like it should have been like, I'm hoping May, June. Like that's, I'm going to sort of put my.
You're wrong. You
well,
are so wrong.
So are you. This is the Shafted is wrong episode. Shafted is calling it September.
No, I'm saying August. I said August weeks and months ago before they even announced this expansion.
All right, you're putting your hat in August
or later.
I'm putting my hat in May, June. I'm putting my hat in May, June.
Mike, we discussed this at the top of the show, and you're wrong. Okay, you're just wrong. You're wrong all the time.
We mentioned this several times.
No,
you're wrong.
I'm really hoping that they go for before summer launch on this. So I'm really
me too.
hoping for May, June. They haven't, as far as I know, they haven't done a summer release for an expansion ever, and I don't know how
you guys
do it.
You guys can hope all you want and just put all those wishful feels right out to the internet. It's not going to happen. We haven't even heard about it. Now, I'm not saying that it's not in beta. There may or may not be a friends and family going on right now. I don't know. Maybe that's launching in January. But we haven't even heard of the beta yet. We're not going to see it until late January, February. If we take into account the 6 months that the Mist of Pandaria beta took, actually the year that the Mist of Pandaria beta took, we'd be calling it lucky to ask for it in 6 months. August. It's August or later. Not a chance we'll see it in summer.
Wow. There you have it, folks.
Wow. Like
there you have it.
Such a negative Nancy this week.
Yes.
What's gonna suck is if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna be so mad.
Well, no, what's gonna really suck is if you're wrong because it's November.
That's
gonna be
I said August or later. I said August or later.
You said August or later. Okay, well, I'm going to say July or earlier.
Well,
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to believe in Blizzard. Unlike certain hosts on this show.
I'm going to say 2014 then.
Oh,
I'm going to go with 2014. I'll just do the whole year.
You just right at us, you jerk. $1,
I'm going
Bob.
with 14 July.
That's right. I $1 to your ass. Look out.
I'm going with 14 July 2014.
I still think June.
Next up from somebody I don't know, Jeremy. With the new models, do you think we'll get new skin colors too? I'd love to see more skin colors for the orcs, black iron dwarves, that sort of thing. Also, what about more hairstyles and faces?
Different, not more. That's kind of what I'm kind of guessing at. I mean, I did some of the character selection screens and stuff like that. It seemed like about the same amount of hairstyles and beards and whatever, but they were just a little bit different. So and skin tones were just looked better. So I don't know that they'll necessarily do like Black Iron Dwarves or any of the new orc skin tones or anything like that. Maybe that's something they could put into the store, though. That'd be good.
Wow, they could. Oh my god, that hadn't even occurred.
Would that cross the line? Not offering hairstyles, and you could buy them?
No,
that'd be awesome.
That's a really tricky one. If they put hairstyles in the store, which you had to buy,
that'd be awesome.
I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Really?
It's been something that's historically always been available in the game.
There's a lot of players out there who would feel like, I pay $15 a month, that damn hairstyle better be available. That's a really tricky one. Like, I think my knee jerk is I'd be okay with that.
As long as
I'm not sure, like, thinking about it more, I'm not sure about it.
As long as they offered a wide selection like they do now, I mean, it's a fairly wide selection of different things. And then offer, like, you know, a couple of cool skins, like what Mike was talking about before. I mean, it's just, you know, cool skins. That's it.
We didn't. Awesome. Dance studio, buy dances. Yeah, somebody said that. We didn't even talk about the dance studio. It was in the UI. We didn't even talk about that.
Well, they said, I believe it was Jay Allen Brack said that they had been working on the dance studio, you know, way before, and that it is not viable, and they are not currently working on it. Just so
that's why they put it on the UI at BlizzCon when
they put it on the UI
for millions of people to see it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
they've never joked around at all
ever.
At BlizzCon.
Never.
Shaftnet,
never.
do you think we'll see skin colors?
It'd be nice. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. It's one of those things that it would be a nice addition to have for extra customization, but I don't necessarily know if it's something that's necessary.
Shaftnet doesn't care.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. And in all honesty, I don't think, to answer the actual question, I don't think they're going to be putting them in the game now, because they're so focused on just building what they have, rebuilding what they have with the new character models. So no, not at this point with the new models. Jeremy, no, I don't think we will be. Sorry.
All right, last up this week from Blood Drunk sent in a video question. Here he is.
Hey, so the other day I realized that Netherstorm isn't in the new expansion, like on the map that they've released. It's just an empty island. But like, what do you think, you guys? Think that's gonna be? Just hear your thoughts on it, because I don't know, I got confused.
Somebody get him something to wake
up. Somebody needs that man a coffee. Somebody get that guy a coffee, seriously.
Or either a coffee or a pillow. Either way. Either way. It's gotta happen.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Alright, Netherstorm isn't in the expansion. It's just an empty named island. What do you guys think it's going to be, Pat?
It is going to be an island where I will probably die several times. That's all I got.
Liv.
That's all I got.
I think it's going to be the new PvP island. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know where Netherstorm really is. It's one of the top right, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's the new PvP.
It's where Tempest Keep used to be.
Okay, sorry, yes. Okay, so then I think it's going to be an Isle of Thunder, Timeless Isle type expansion island, which we'll see later on in the story.
Shaftnet.
I'm going to go with Pat. I think it's just, I mean, the lore doesn't make sense, but the shifting of everything, it just makes sense that it's the unnamed PvP island that's in the top right. That's the PvP island as it comes over and blah, 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 blah.
Mike Shaftnet. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Shaftnet. And, of course, if you have not watched, you need to go right now. You guys are probably League of Legends fans. YouTube.com/LOL Nation TV. Go watch Waypoint. You can also find it on Gamebreaker. And damn, that new, I don't know, what would you call it today? The cinematic thing you put together?
Well, it'd be an awesome cinematic teaser that teases people about the new champion coming up if Riot didn't just release new information about the champion literally as soon as I uploaded the thing. So, thanks.
You mad, bro?
Nice work.
You mad? Hey.
I am. I'm mad.
Voiced VO done by Coltrane.
Yep.
Animation done by Mike Shaftnet. Actually, for everybody in the chat room, I'll play it after the show. But you guys should go check it out. It's on GameBreaker.tv. It's awesome. You guys should watch Waypoints. Go. LOL Nation TV on the YouTubes. Pat Crane. Follow him on the Twitters at Pat Crane. Of course, go over to ConvertToRaid.com. And make sure you now check out Convert to Raid in video format right here on GameBreaker.tv. So, you guys have any idea what you're talking about yet on Sunday?
Yes, probably
rating?
Something to do with rating.
Nice. Good.
Yes.
Good. That was a good
Yes.
guess. I guessed. I guessed at that. You see that? I'm like a clairvoyant.
Nice
Olivia
work.
D. Grace. Follow her on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. Go over to WoW Insider to check out all her writing over there. And of course, right here on Legendary. I see nothing in my crystal ball. I have no predictions for you. Except tomorrow will be a good day. There you go. All right. Thanks so much for watching the Morgan Webb Show. We'll see you next week.